In our previous class, we learned verb is very important part of speech. And what is the meaning of verb? How do we define verb? In our previous class, we learned verb is very important part of speech. Verb denotes position, possession, and action. And we cannot construct any sentence without a verb. That's what we learned. Now let us know about classification of verbs. Verbs are mainly classified into two categories, main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are further classified into two categories. Those are modal auxiliaries and primary auxiliaries. Main verbs, all action words come under main verbs. Main verbs are of two types again. Those are transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs means if the verb is followed by direct object, then it is called transitive verb. If the verb is followed by object which is further guided by preposition is called intransitive verbs. In case of transitive verbs, passive voice is possible, but in case of intransitive verb, passive voice is not possible. So even in main verbs also, that is like action words, we told no, these are also classified in different categories. Sometimes even action words also play the role of action. Sometimes they are used as nouns. Those are called gerunds. Sometimes they are used as participles, present participle or past participle. Those are also used as adjectives. So we need to learn many sentences. If you learn many sentences, no, then you can understand about the verbs and their classification also. As far as these auxiliary verbs, I told you, the primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. And in primary auxiliaries, sometimes they act as main verbs, sometimes they act as helping verbs. For example, all be forms. What are be forms? Am, is, are, was, were. All these are called be forms, right? And sometimes they are used as main verbs. Earlier we discussed, my father is an advocate. And there is main verb since there is no other verb. My father is dealing with one case. There, dealing is the main verb. So, is helping verb. Normally continuous tense. Again, when we are talking about tenses and all, we will come to know about all these things. First, you have to learn that am, is, are, was, were. They are used as main verbs and they are used as helping verbs also. So if you take the one more primary auxiliary, have or has. I have a car. Here have is used as main verb. I have given my car to my friend. Here given is the main verb and that is the participle form of verb. Past participle form of verb. Given is the past participle form of verb. So we have to use have or has. So in such cases, here it is used as helping verb. I have a car means there have is used as main verb only. I have given my car to my friend. Since given is the main verb, have is helping verb. And there also we have many doubts like have or has or had. When should we use those? Am, is, are. When do we use those? Those again when we come across agreement of subject with verb, we will come to know about all those things. Let us see all those with examples. Verbs are mainly classified into two categories. Those are main verbs and auxiliary verbs. What is the difference between main verbs and auxiliary verbs? Let us see. All action words come under main verbs. For example, speak, give, walk, all these come under main verbs. Then comes auxiliary verbs. What are auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs are used as helping verbs. All be forms like am, is, have, has, can, may, all these come under auxiliary verbs. Now let us observe further classification of main verbs and auxiliary verbs. We will learn all these with examples. Now let us observe the classification of main verbs. Main verbs are mainly classified into transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. What is the difference between transitive verbs and intransitive verbs? Let us see the examples. He speaks English fluently. Here we must know about subject and object also. The word which comes before the verb is called subject and the word which comes after the verb is called object. So now let us take the sentence, he speaks English fluently. This fluently is adverb. Let us forget about that adverb now. Let us take these three words. He speaks English fluently. After the verb speaks, we have direct object, right? So such verbs which have direct objects are called transitive verbs. In case of these transitive verbs, we have passive voice. Now come to intransitive verbs. If you see the example, then you can have better understanding of it. He goes to college at 9 a.m. In this one, what do you observe? This sentence, she goes to college at 9 a.m. What is subject there? The word she is the subject. Why is it called subject? Because it comes before the verb goes, right? So it is subject. What is object there? College is object. Why is it called object? It comes after the verb goes. So it is object. And what do you observe here? Did we get direct object there? No. It is followed by preposition. What is the preposition there? To. So she goes to college. Here she goes to college in that sentence, as it doesn't have direct object, it is indirect object. College is indirect object guided by the preposition to. Such verbs are called intransitive verbs. In case of intransitive verbs, we cannot construct passive voice. Only in transitive verbs passive voice is possible, but in case of intransitive verbs, passive voice is not possible. Now let us observe the classification of auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are of two categories. Those are primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. What is the difference between primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries? See the examples there. All B forms, am, is, are, was, were, all these are called B forms, and have, has, do, does, all these come under primary auxiliaries. How can you define primary auxiliaries? These primary auxiliaries sometimes used as main verbs, sometimes used as helping verbs. For example, I did this problem. Here did itself is the main verb, right? Suppose if you say I did not complete the problem. Here complete is the main verb, did is used as helping verb. Let us take one example now. I am a teacher. I am teaching now. In these two sentences, I am a teacher. Here am indicates position. So here, as there is no other main verb, am is used as main verb only. If you say I am teaching a lesson now, here teaching is the main verb and am is helping verb. In this way, primary auxiliaries are used as main verbs and sometimes used as helping verbs also. Now let us come to modal auxiliaries. Will, may, can, must. All these are used only as helping verbs. Those are not used as main verbs. For example, what does will indicate? I will come to your house tomorrow. Will denotes future tense. The weather is cloudy. It may rain now. Here rain is the main verb and may is the helping verb. I can solve this problem. Solve is the main verb. Can is used as helping verbs. What do you understand by modal auxiliaries? They are used only as helping verbs but not as main verbs. In our next class, we will learn how main verbs are used as nouns and adjectives. Thank you.